A man who's got a case of the Mondays every day of the week. Adam Carolla.
Mayhem Miller here, the deaf frat guy over there. Great to see you, Maverick. Maverick. Yeah, Delta Fu. You must love the UFC. I mean, the frat boys, man. You must love Mayhem Miller and the UFC and all those guys.
Dude, one of the bro in the house, one of the first people we ever had was Mike Quick Swick.
Oh, yeah. What's Mike Quick?
Quick Swick. Yeah, he's a legendary fighter in his own right. Yeah, he was a fantastic, 170-pounder.
You ever have to go against him, Mayhem?
Nah, I think I trained with him up there in the great AKA, but yeah, I never had to fight him in the ring. No.
And Matt Hamill, of course. He's a hero.
Matt Hamill, yeah. Yeah, American hero.
American hero, but also deaf, just so you know.
Oh,
yeah, he's like big time.
Deaf. Oh, that's what happened.
Big time deaf.
Oh, really? Okay. So I get why you liked him. We got some JV or all balls to play. I don't know. Mayhem, you've played JV or all balls with Deaf Frat Guy before, haven't
Never.
you?
No, please explain.
JV is bad.
Yeah.
All balls is good. So he'll throw out a subject, a name, a title, a person, and something, and then we'll have to decide if it's good or is it bad. And there's a lot of nuance to it, and the Mav's going to make sense at the end of the day.
He goes from the frat house onto the show, the Deaf Frat Guy hearing impaired.
We got an intro.
He's hammered all day long with Poochie Moose and Mike F. They chug some brews, shoot potato guns, and then play a pico game. If something's bushy, he'll make the call. So now it's time for JV or balls.
All right. We got to play the game.
Listen, I don't mean to be a douchebag, but there's one thing that is JV. I've been on this show literally 1,000 times. And I tried to get in on this Zoom, and they said, we can't take you now. We have a guest. And they shut me out. I feel like the lunatics are running the asylum.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's been a jam-packed day over here.
But this is not morning dew.
No, I know. And no disrespect to you, Mav. No disrespect. We just had a lot going on today. It's been a really crowded day. Lots of mistakes and fumbles.
Yeah, we've been bombing our own coordinates the whole time. See,
yeah.
I'm doing it again.
Yeah.
Well, but that was JV and even amateur hour. But what is all balls is having Mayhem. I love that dude, man.
Yeah. He's a
good
good
too,
dude.
bud. I love you too.
I love Mayhem. So let's get right into it. Hey, is this all balls or JV? Jet ski.
Jet skis. Ooh. Wow. Because at first glance, it seems all balls, you know. But there's injuries out there. And also, I get a little emotionally, like Mav, I know sometimes you get a little bummed out about your hearing.
Sometimes I get a little bummed out about my hearing.
Yeah. I didn't mean to bring up a sore subject, but I live in Malibu now, right? And I have a view where I can see the ocean. And sometimes I'll step out, I'll look out my living room window, and I will see two guys going by on a jet ski. I mean, we call it jet ski, but it's a Sea-Doo or whatever. Personal watercraft. And the guy's going 40 miles an hour, and he's howling, and he's jumping the wake, and he's hauling ass. And I look at him, and then I look down, and I'm standing in my underpants and I'm holding a bowl of cereal and I'm watching TMZ and I go, why am I not that guy? What am I doing? I'm sitting in here watching TMZ, eating cold cereal in a bathrobe with my belly hanging out, and that guy's out seizing the day.
Yeah.
Carpe diem, going 40 miles an hour, not a care in the world. And then there's a part of me that goes, I don't know. I mean, how much you'd have to rent the jet ski? And I have enough money. Why am I not doing what this guy's doing? So it's good for him, but it kind of bums out everyone on the beach. Because everyone on the beach is playing like paddle ball in the sand, and they look out and they go, that guy's having the ride of his life. It's, for me, even though it sounds like all balls, it's JV because it depresses everyone around you.
You're going from other people's perspective and now hitting JV on everything. Mm-hmm. Well, it's JV and me that this guy doesn't have perfect hearing. Son of a, I just, you know what I mean? Now it's just rumbling around in my head. No all balls today.
Yeah, so what do you think? You're going...
You know, I don't know. I'm going to go, it's the poor man's yacht, you know? The happiness embodied in just a small watercraft that you can just jet, you know, you can poison the environment simultaneously by like breaking your leg. You know, there's so many possibilities. I'm going all balls. Personal watercraft. You can't not smile as you're charging on a water cycle. You know?
Yeah, I listen, it's the
I think I might convince you back over to my side.
I will say this. It's definitely one of the reasons the terrorists hate us. Because you picture the terrorists.
Yeah.
Dirt, dust, burning buildings, burning trucks everywhere. 15 of them stacked up in the back of a Toyota pickup truck, standing out in the hot sun.
Yep.
Towel wrapped around the head, dirty, eating on the floor, crawling through tunnels. Yeah. Living in tunnels, you know, that rubble, dust and rubble everywhere. And now picture picture Paris Hilton on a jet ski just going by Lake Havasu 35 miles an hour. That is America, you know. But all right, I'm sticking with JV.
It's all American. You need to be the captain of your own ship. All balls.
Oh, I should have known. It was too easy. It was too easy. I thought there must be a twist. All right, keep going, Mav.
Ladies love them. Mm-hmm. Okay, here's the next one. Swiss Army knife.
The Swiss Army knife?
Yeah.
I like the Swiss Army knife. A Swiss Army knife is a vestige of my childhood. I mean, they still exist now. But if I was a kid and you had a Swiss Army knife, you were like big time.
Yeah.
You were like from the right side of the tracks.
That was when I realized maybe my dad does love me when he gave me that.
Your dad gave you a Swiss Army
knife, yeah.
I got one as a gift too as a kid. I will say that the toothpick is kind of JV. I don't like the plastic toothpick. No reason for a toothpick.
On the other side?
They had a scissor, they had a corkscrew, they had a small pocket knife and a larger blade, and I can't remember the rest of them. But it was cool, and it had some heft.
And it had, they had like a hole punch sort. What is this called?
Yeah.
A reamer?
Yeah, a hole punch is called an awl.
An awl, exactly.
In the world. And let's not ever confuse from the world of carpentry a nail set with a hole punch or an awl. You don't set nails with an awl.
I often conflate
Use
the two.
a nail set. All right, my point is this. It's cool, but then they started doing this shit where they started expanding out into tote bags, into luggage, into mountain bikes, and now they're just whoring their good Swiss name out because now they're making pans and pots and mountain bikes and junk. You know what I'm saying?
And the country's notoriously neutral. Why the hell do they have an army?
Yeah, it's a good point. Why do you need an army knife? There, you have no army. You're neutral. Yeah.
But still, I'm swinging on the balls.
All right, I'm going JV.
You're both right in a certain way. But I have to say, for this reason, it's a great idea, but it's too small. That knife needs to be a freaking K-bar combat knife. Even the small one should be, something that you can really stick some motherfucker with. And the thing is, you were saying that the toothpick, I don't want a toothpick made out of plastic. I want it made out of real elephant ivory.
Oh, I thought you were going to say wood.
And if everything was bigger, I need a screwdriver that has some torque.
Yeah.
I need that all. Oh, here the scissors. I need a butcher's shear. I need to cut through very strong items. But you were saying about all. All is what a French boy named Louis Braille. He was using one and he messed up. It went right into his eye, and he lost his sight. So he made Braille, which is a form of writing for blind dudes.
Oh, that's how Braille was invented. That he poked himself with an awl.
With an awl, he was working some leather. And it slipped and went right into his eye, and he lost the eye, and then it spread to the other eye, and he became as blind as a bat.
That happened to me once when I was beating off.
Yeah. This morning.
Hand just sort of slipped off, and I ended up hitting myself in the face. Is that a true story?
Yes, and your fact checkers can back me up.
AWL, Louis All. Louis All, who invented Braille, blinded himself by trying to poke a hole in leather and hit himself in the eyeball, and then infected it and infected the other eyeball, and then he lost his sight, and then he invented lettering for the blind.
Braille. Yeah, his name was Louis Braille.
Oh, yeah, Louis Braille, not Louis All. Yeah.
No, he stuck his head with an awl.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good, you gimps stick together. I'll tell you one thing, man.
Quite a factoid.
You know that. All right, so
I did a semester in France.
Oh, you did?
Hell yeah. I mean, hell we.
Yeah, so we're all knotted up here, I think,
Okay.
Mayhem. Here we go.
Yeah.
This is going to be a little bit of a tough one. Anal intercourse.
All right, so at the age of 3, Braille wounded his right eye with a cobbler's tool. Well, cobblers make shoes out of leather back then, so it would have been an awl, would have been a shoehorn. While playing in his father's workshop, Louis's left eye became inflamed, apparently due to subsequent sympathetic ophthalmia. Anyway, you're right, Mav. All right, anal intercourse.
Yeah, we could do that one, or if it's too racy, we could do tennis.
Oh, wow, that's a big range.
What's the difference?
That's a big range. Look, we'll
They
stick
both have a lot of grunting.
we'll stick with the anal intercourse. I feel like intercourse is intimate enough and good enough. You guys, I want you two guys to weigh in. I really want you to weigh in. I used to host a show called Loveline. As a matter of fact, the reason the great Alec Baldwin, you've heard of Alec Baldwin, right, Mav?
He was the guy that shot that lady on the movie.
Yeah, that's him. But he was also an actor, too,
Act all you want, shoot one lady, and that's all they know
what
you
we
for.
remember you for. Now, Baldwin, the reason Baldwin became a huge Loveline fan is because he remembers a call when he was listening that some guy called up and he kept saying, I want anal with my woman and she won't do it and I keep bugging her and whatever. And I realized he was really just bugging her, not because he wanted anal, but because he wanted his way. You know what I mean? He wanted her to give it up. Like women do that. Women, look, we have anal and they have flowers. They don't love flowers. We hate flowers. It's a waste of money. It's going to be dead in 3 days. It's a bunch of work, but we'll do it because you'll know we don't want to do it. This is why women love picnics. Picnics suck. It's you eating cold food on the ground. It's much nicer to go to a good sushi restaurant or a good steakhouse, but they like picnics, and the reason they like picnics is because you have to make the effort to put the picnic. You got to go to Trader Joe's. You got to pick the stuff out. They love a picnic not because they love Triscuits and cheese. They love it because you don't like it, and it's a ton of effort for you.
Picnic is anal for women.
That's right. Picnic is it's just like Grandpa used to say. when he'd pull me up on his knee and he'd say, "Son, picnic is anal for women." But that's what it is. It's effort. Again, we got other parts to have fun with in bed. We got blowjobs and everything else. Do we really like the sensation, or do we like what it says?
There's something naughty about it, though. There's like, you're behind and you're looking straight at this brown eye, and it's looking right back at you, and it's calling to you. I don't know, Ace.
Well, I think it's a power move. I think it means we're in charge. The great Alec Baldwin said he became a fan of the Ace Man when somebody was calling in the love line and haranguing their girlfriend for anal, and she didn't want to do it. And I said, if you really want to experience it, shit in a coffee mug, tape a bagel to the opening, and put it in the microwave for 20 seconds and go at it. And for some reason, that captured Alec Baldwin's imagination. He labeled me a genius, and we've been friends ever since. He did shoot me in the thigh the other day, which I thought was uncalled for. I'm going to go, I think it's JV because it's not the sensation, it's the power, and I would say picnics are JV for women as well. What do you say, Mayhem?
I'm going, JV. It's overrated, but it's rated.
All right, 2 JVs.
But what do from what I understand, almost every woman loved anal sex and demands it, even on the first date.
Really? What sororities you hanging with? Yeah.
No, but that is the impression. This is why I'm going to make my decision, because I feel there is a powerful lobby or something that's pushing anal on everyone, being like, you have to do this, because it's all they show in the movie. They don't talk about the mud on the helmet.
Yeah.
They don't talk about, I have a very acute sense of smell. I would love the natural smell of a lady, but I don't want to know what she had for lunch at Taco Bell. And the other thing, the bigger thing here is just a quick story. Mike M's grandmother was a swinger in the 1980s.
Okay, Mike M is in the sorority with Mike F.
Fraternity, bro.
Fraternity. Sorry, you had me on anal. I was going anal route, but you're right. Yeah, with Fugly. Oh no, sorry, Chugly.
Ugly.
And Douchebagel and okay, right.
Yeah, and he said she told him, if you love a girl, don't let her take it in the can, because you will end up like me, wearing a diaper, because now I have an 8-lane Hershey Highway.
8-lane Hershey Highway. Oh, yeah, there's prolapse anuses. There's physical problems that can happen.
Ailments.
Okay, let's, all right. So hypothetically, when you see a guy who's really into the anal porn, do you judge a little bit? Do you think, like, this guy's got a little something going on that's not as, maybe I wouldn't want him, babysitting or borrowing my car or something like that?
Anus has no gender, too. It's kind of a blurry line there, isn't it?
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, all right. So what would you judge more? The guy who just does the anal porn or the guy who does the anime porn?
You can't jerk it to a cartoon, bro.
I've said that, but then.
Can.
Well, first off, you ever see the Land O'Lakes butter Indian chick? I mean, come on.
Yeah, hell yeah. Scooby Doo, you can technically jerk to.
Yeah.
In a pinch.
Got a Velma fetish developing.
Yeah, they're pretty hot.
Yeah.
All right, so wait, did we figure this out? I said JV.
Yeah.
You went JV too?
I went JV.
JV.
All right.
Oh, wow.
I don't like the mud
sweep.
on the helmet. It freaked me out.
No, I get it. I get it. All right, do we got one more?
Hell yeah. Okay, I'm going to switch it up. I was going to do tennis, but instead, I'm going to do impersonating a police officer.
Oh, wow.
Man.
This is a crime. It happens. Used to be the theme of like 70s and 80s movies. Guy was pretending to be a cop and raping women that he pulled over on the turnpike at night. It was a impersonating a cop was a theme that was stronger. Hey, can we make this rule? Okay? Let's all just see if we can sign off on this. I don't know if this is going to help or this is going to hurt. But there's way too much variation in cop uniforms, okay? Meaning, I'm from L.A. I've been in L.A. my whole life. I watched Adam 12 every episode. I know what an L.A. cop uniform looks like, right? But then, remember back in the little bit ago, Tyreek Hill gets pulled out of his car and it makes all the news everywhere. Those cops looked nothing like any cop I'd ever seen in L.A. They're wearing like tan khaki shirts.
Yeah.
The guy's got a long sleeve undershirt on. They're wearing that thing that they don't have in L.A., but they have it everywhere else, that weird leather strap that goes from the left shoulder down to the right shoulder. They're wearing like horse riding pants, and high boots.
I think they were all motorcycle
Now, I know they're
cops,
motorcycle guys. Our motorcycle guys still look like LAPD. They just wear boots and a helmet. I would have no idea who these guys were if I was just driving through Dade County.
Jungle camo? Yeah.
I'm saying it varies a lot. And so I could be taking advantage of almost anybody impersonating a cop if I was traveling or on vacation, because I would have no fucking idea what their outfits look like. I only know LAPD. I can tell immediately. You see all those guys, you see the uniform, you see the badge, you see all the accoutrements, the belt and the mace and the stick and the gun and everything. I could tell if someone was impersonating an LAPD cop in a second. I could not tell if someone's impersonating a Dade County motorcycle cop, because I have no idea. And they vary, man. You drive around, some of these guys look like Mounties, other guys look like old-time sheriffs, you know. Should we just have one uniform so we can learn it, know it, and tell it? Like we need one TV remote for all hotel rooms. I sat the other week in my hotel room pointing the thing at my face, pushing the wrong buttons, hitting some sort of universal joy table turner and the thing spinning. We need one. We need one, and we need one cop uniform so we can put an end to this police impersonation business. Mav, thoughts?
Well, I think that I like the guys like John Poncherello from Tips.
Yeah, Ponch is pretty cool.
But if you have one uniform, then it's easier to impersonate a police officer.
Yeah, I guess for local. Yeah, I haven't thought this through. Maybe you're right, man.
I don't know the trope of, and I don't know it from TV. All the guys that I know who did that, their whole deal was dress up like a cop, go rob drug dealers.
Yeah.
So they kick your door, say police, and then just go raid your stash and leave you handcuffed.
And the cops, and by the way, the drug addicts or the drug dealers aren't going to call the real cops.
Exactly.
I don't know. Look, I think we're tied up. Are we tied up, Dawson? We're tied up. So I'm going to let you pick, and I'll go the opposite just so we can declare a winner.
I'm going all balls. Impersonate away.
All right, I'm going JV, unless the guy's a stripper.
Okay, yeah.
And it's a porn set.
It's my distinct pleasure to raise the arm of victory of my man, David Mayhem Miller. It's all balls. Because you need a lot of sack to put on that cop outfit and then be like, I'm going to go impersonate a cop and do some bad shit, motherfucker. Hell yeah.
All right, you like it.
I'm not saying it's good. It just takes a pair of balls the size of 2 grapefruits.
All balls.
Well, we got more games to play on this program, and one of them, which we haven't played in a million years, is the Rotten Tomatoes game. Now, Mav, I don't know if you've ever played that with us. We put together a theme, which was a tip of the cap to you. Mayhem, I don't know if you played Rotten
Haven't
Tomatoes
played
game.
yet. No.
Well, it's pretty easy. We have a movie title that everyone knows, and then we try to figure out what the critics gave it on Rotten Tomatoes. 100 being the best, obviously.
Cool.
0 being the worst, and we can all take games. Now, you, Mayhem,
Yeah.
if we're playing the Rotten Tomatoes game, I'm looking to the booth, are going to need something to write on and something to write with. So I'll throw you a pen
Thank you, sir.
over there, and someone will bring you a piece of paper. And I'll give you a piece of paper. You can just write on your own.
Thank you, sir.
Write it down.
Let's do it.
You got to write it down.
Or it doesn't count.
It doesn't count because otherwise you're hedging. You're going off of what the other person said. You got to lock it in. So, Mav, write her down. We got it. All right. You want to do we have an intro?
Listen to that noise. It's a high falsetto voice. It can only mean one thing, and you can feel it. Dawson names her flicks, and the gang makes their picks, guessing if it's rotten or fresh. If they guess it exactly, we'll get a bonus 5. It's the Rotten Tomatoes game. You know how we do it. Give me the Rotten Tomatoes game. Now it's time to play it.
All right. I took Mav's buck slip back because I'm not wasting a buck slip on your chicken scratch. I should say Mayhem. I got Mav and Mayhem on the same show. But you can write down your answer. You got a piece of scrap paper. Mav, you got some scrap paper?
Right here.
All right.
It's an old parking ticket.
Okay. So we can now this is themed for Mav. So we'll get started with Dawson here.
All right, so we've got 2 categories, and we'll just go back and forth from them. We have deaf movies, and we have frat movies. So we'll start out with a deaf movie. This one, starting his new job as an instructor at a New England school for the deaf, James Leeds meets Sarah Norman, a young deaf woman who works at the school as a member of the custodial staff. Well, a romance slowly develops in spite of Sarah's withdrawn emotional state, in part to her difficult relationship with her mother. It's Children of a Lesser God.
Never saw this one. I don't think. I heard it was good. I was always just kind of like, I'm gonna watch The Rock for a 35th time.
Nice.
I'm emotionally too big a lightweight for this stuff. What year did you say this was, Dawson?
I didn't.
Oh, you didn't. We should have the year on there. People
agree.
who compose this list, which we shall do with all further movies. Is this in the 90s?
Feels like a 90s movie. The art.
Oh, also, sorry, Dawson and whoever composed the list. William Hurt and Marlee Matlin. Put the name of the stars in there and put the date it was the movie came out. All right. So this movie was
Marlee Matlin. In the poster, she looks like William Hurt just asked her if she wants to take it in the can.
Yep.
I think that's what they're going for. Hey, Mav.
Hell yeah.
Can I ask you this? You should be uniquely qualified to weigh in on this. Marlee Matlin has a male interpreter, and she speaks to him via sign. I did Dancing with the Stars with Marlee Matlin. And in Dancing with the Stars, Marlee has her interpreter. So then after the dance, Tom Bergeron would go to interview her. And he would say, how did you feel doing the cha-cha? And then she would do the sign. And then the interpreter, who is a male, would say to Tom Bergeron, I've never felt more like a lady. It's such a sensuous stance, and there's a real connection I had with my partner. And I'm like, that's a dude. That's a dude voice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, get a chick to interpret you with a chick voice, because a lot of the stuff you're talking about is dance and intimacy and the dance of lovers and when two bodies come together. But this is from a dude's voice. I say the same thing about going to audition for roles and things like that. They have the casting agent reading with you. It's a dude 3/4 of the time, and you're supposed to be talking to your wife.
Yeah, yeah.
Talking about how hot she looks, and you got some dude you're trying to get wood with. We need to sort this out. If you are female and you're deaf, Marley Matlin, get rid of that dude. Get a chick in there. Am I right or am I right?
Hell yeah.
Okay. So this movie from what year, Dawson?
1986.
1986. It was very well received. And the critics love these kind of movies where there's someone has a handicap.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna write my score down. Critic score. Everyone write it down. I think may have got some Academy nods. Everyone loved William Hurt. I'm going very high. I'm going
1 out of 100.
100 is the highest.
Okay, good.
I am going 92%.
I'm rolling 83.
83, Mav. Can't read it from here.
that.
Sorry. Where the
All
screen's too
balls.
small. All balls? Is that what it says, Mav?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'll say 87.
87. All right. Remember, you got to lock it in.
Children of a Lesser God is fresh at 81%.
Kablam!
Shit.
I'm close, baby.
Critics did not. I thought this was going to be bulletproof with the critics. All right. Here we go.
In this next movie, it's a frat movie. A nervous high school senior visits Port Chester University, where he gets a taste of politically correct college life when he's guided by fraternity wild man Draws, played by Jeremy Piven. From 1994, the movie is PCU.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I heard that everyone likes this movie. I heard good things about this
But
movie.
I think that it's a fan favorite, kind of a cult classic.
Yes.
But I don't know how well received it was from critics initially.
I have never seen it, but I always hear that it's got some cult. It's like Wet Hot American Summer. It's like a shitty movie that people say they like. And I don't know if this is that. I can't imagine a mid-90s comedy really holding up, but it could. It could. And this is, critics. All right, let's get it down, boys. I think it's a fan fave. I'm with you, but I don't think the critics hated it. You guys in?
I'm in.
Yeah.
Just fresh at 61.
Oh, shit.
That's exactly what I said.
You got 61?
61, bud. We're on the same wavelength.
You got written down 61.
61.
Wow. Mav?
73.
No way.
PCU is rotten at 50%.
Oh, so we're in the wheelhouse right there.
And, to be fair to us, the people have it at 75. So we're right in the middle of the people and the judges there. Okay.
All right, let's move on to a deaf movie. Wally Carew is a blind man looking for a job. Dave Lyons is a deaf man who runs a newsstand. Dave hires Wally, but never imagines they'll have to work together to survive. After a murder occurs at their newsstand, they find out who the killer is with their collective senses. Starring Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder. From 1989, See No Evil, Hear No Evil.
All right. I saw the Gene Wilder doc. I don't know if you guys saw it. I would recommend it. Very talented man. Great artist.
Yeah.
He met his wife after his first wife, Gilda Radner, died because he went to research a movie where he was playing a deaf guy, and he didn't want to just play a deaf guy cold. He wanted to do a ride-along with some deaf guys, learn the world a little bit. Went to some New England Institute for Deaf People or something to train for this movie, and the chick who was like his instructor, he ended up marrying.
Oh, wow.
That's how this story went. People love this movie. I think it had to be weird for Gene Wilder because Gene Wilder was such a mensch and such a straight arrow and such a warm and loving guy who was just like with the same woman for so long and painted. His hobby was painting.
Huh.
You know, and he was a real kind of artist, a painting artist, but he also wrote very well. And Richard was, out of control, drug addict, womanizing, and he probably had to kind of choose his words carefully when he was being interviewed. Like, hey, you and Richard seem like best friends. You go out socially? And he's like, well, not as much as we used to. Go out socially. You want to do some
Like they
crack?
wouldn't even hang out?
They were just...
But they were like a comedy team.
Yeah, they did a few movies together, and people loved them, and they were great together. But they were 1,000% different dudes.
Yeah.
All right, so I think this is one that the audience kind of enjoyed, but I don't think the critics took this one seriously. Also, able-bodied people impersonating people.
But it was the 80s. Come on.
Yeah, people didn't care as much.
No.
You're right. I
don't know. I think you're wrong about that. I think the critics like this. I could see Siskel and Ebert giving thumbs up. I'm saying I'm going like high 78, 75.
75. This could really break this game wide open because I just wrote down 49%. Mav?
Where you at, Mav? We can't see that. 69, he's saying.
Oh, 69. Hell yeah. Wait a minute.
Yeah,
I think you're holding it upside down. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. All right. 69 says Mav.
See no evil, hear no evil is rotten.
Well.
At 27%.
Oh,
damn.
Wow.
Damn,
You know
that is
what?
not good at all.
Oh my God. I was poisoned by the fact that I was like 9 years old and watched that movie in the theater, thought it was the best movie ever.
72 with the people. Big chasm.
Right there.
Here. Listen, everybody, please heed my warnings when I tell you the shit you liked when you were a kid
Right.
isn't necessarily
Garbage,
good.
yeah.
I watched the movie Ladybugs the other day in its
Rodney?
entirety because my young girlfriend swore to me it was the best comedy ever made. Except for I knew it was horrible, but she saw it when she was 11 and knew how good it was. And then watched the entire movie Ladybugs, and at the end, she just looked at me and went, well, that wasn't very good. And I was like, it never was. You were a kid.
Yeah.
Don't do it with food. Don't do it with art.
No.
Do not do it with music. Do not do it with architecture. Do not do it with anything. That was you. Being young is essentially like saying, when I was retarded. And the reason you know that is because they go, this guy's severely retarded. And you go, well, how old is he? He's 57. But he has the mentality of a 9-year-old. And it's like, okay, so that means a 9-year-old is like a retarded 57-year-old. It's the same. When they go, he has the mentality of, that just means a 9-year-old is retarded. So do not take any recommendations from stuff when you were retarded. We're not going to listen to you, and we're not eating SpaghettiOs because you thought they were great when you were retarded, and we're not listening to your shit music either, which I have to explain to people quite a bit because that retard phase hangs on. All right, man, I picked up some points there, but I'm not proud. I was way off.
All right, now let's go on back to a frat movie.
Frat.
After discovering his girlfriend has been participating in group sex, attorney Mitch feels his world come undone. He moves into a new place, happens to be near a college campus. Two of his best friends, Frank and Beanie, join him. They start a fraternity. The movie that gave us such lines as, once it hits your lips, it's so good. From 2003, Old School.
Oh.
Blue, that's my boy.
Yeah.
Now, this was fun. Yeah. Vince Vaughn, height of his powers. It's a good movie. It's a rollicking romp.
It is.
Is what this is. Now, again, critics they're kind of tough on comedies. They shouldn't be, but they are. Comedy's hard, and they're tough on comedy. The worst critical review on a comedy is they'll go, oh, it had a lot of laughs, but it's like, hey, it's a comedy.
I know.
We're done. Our work is done.
Like, why don't critics do the suspension of disbelief that they'll do in like a wacky Oscar movie like the real. I don't know, that movie where the girl is like a toy, like everyone's like, oh my God, it's so beautiful. But like, yo, she's a robot. Like,
Right.
Nobody, why do you care when everyone's having fun and Frank the Tank is doing the Frank the Tank and
Yes.
it's supposed to be silly.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just a
The
critics-
robot movie, Megan. That's what
Yeah,
someone
or
wrote.
like
But that wasn't an Oscar.
No. The Oscar, man, I can't remember. It's William Dafoe and Emily.
Oh, that movie.
Yeah.
That movie sucked.
Yeah, see, I didn't see it, but the critics were going, "Oh my God!" They're heralding this thing like it came down from Mount Vesuvius.
Yeah,
it's just
no.
ridiculous.
That was just Emma Stone being naked the whole movie,
I'm into
and
that.
them. I know, but they were going, "She's so brave." Like that movie. What was that movie, Kyle? Emma Stone naked with Defoe
Strange
last
Things.
year, 2 years ago, huh?
Poor things.
That's it.
Poor
yeah.
things. Yeah, it's the art direction's really cool. The sets are really cool. There's lots of really cool makeup. Like there's lots of visual stuff, but from a story standpoint, not great and weird. And they didn't explain to everyone that she was just going to be naked the entire movie.
Yeah, and what my point is, they can suspend their disbelief for
Yes.
this wacky art concept, but you can't draw the same
Yeah.
conclusion towards.
Critics are the worst.
Yeah.
They're the worst people. But they still thought this movie was funny. But how fun? They're not going to give it 92%
no.
funny.
Like 68, maybe. I don't know. I'm guessing.
It's sad when you go, oh, that was a classic comedy. Like I think they have the Blues Brothers at like 50%.
Oh,
which is
geez.
an all-timer, one of the best pieces of art of all time, and it's insanely low. I'm looking at Kyle right now, and the Blues Brothers are what?
72.
Oh, what are the people on Blues Brothers?
92.
Oh, good. All right. 72 is still too low for a piece of
Classic.
it's a piece of art that's that way. Like 72 is it's not a C minus. It's just kind of that's all right. I mean, you'd be disgusted at all the shit movies that got higher than a 72 by the critics. But it's higher than 50%. All right. I'm going to say they liked it, but because it was a frat, they can be tough on these, though. Okay. All right. I'm locked in. You locked in?
Locked in.
Mav locked in?
Hell yeah.
63.
68, bud.
88.
88.
Oh, wow.
Old school is fresh, barely, at 60%.
Yeah, there you go.
Damn.
See, people have it at 86. It was because it was funny, and they have it at barely fresh at 60 because they're fucking snobs. And also, they don't know what it takes to make people laugh, like in a feature. Like, I've made a couple of comedies. It's hard. It takes a while. Like, you don't just throw it together. Like, you can make people sad. You can make people cry. You can make people think. Making them laugh is hard. It's really hard.
I don't know. I just like that guy who like hit a movie like peak and went over the top where I don't watch a movie without going, who is this movie for? If it's not for me, I could still enjoy it. Like if I watch a movie that's like for 13-year-old girls and I realize after the first 10 minutes, this is for little girls.
Right.
I might turn it off or I might go, all right, let's see what they're pitching at little girls.
Right.
You know, and then I'll enjoy it in that mentality. So I don't know what the hell the critics are doing. Like that's just their thing to shit on art.
Critics are generally, they're all college educated, they're all progressive, and they're a little bit angry. And so you can tell a movie, like if you take, let's see, I'll look at Joe. Remember we were talking about some Rotten Tomatoes scores that are like crazy. If
Caddyshack.
Caddyshack. If a movie is a religious themed or put out by a certain group like Angel Studios out of Provo, Utah or something like that, they'll just shit all over it and the people like it. And so a lot of it is politics too, you know. Caddyshack is 72. Well, that's not too bad. All right, let's do one more.
All right, we'll finish up this round with another deaf movie.
Deaf movie, Frat Guy.
After seeing his stepfather murder his father during an argument over his mother, young Tommy goes into shock, suddenly becoming psychosomatically deaf, dumb, and blind. As a teenager, Tommy stumbles upon a pinball machine and becomes a pinball champion and later the messiah of a religious cult. From 1975, Tommy.
Oh, man. I got to tell you, this movie freaked me out when I was a kid. The gypsy acid queen, Tina Turner, with all these syringes in her coffin. It was pretty hot. And Margaret getting covered with beans, though, woke up my little dick. They had an uncle who was just like a pedophile. You know, I mean, it was...
Never heard of this.
Never heard.
Not a drop in my ear. But
have you heard of the Who album, Tommy?
Yeah,
the music from Tommy.
Oh, I know. Oh, that's what this is. Oh, okay. I didn't know that was connected.
Yeah, they made
The Who.
Yeah,
They made
because I know the Who, and I knew that Tommy was a thing, but I didn't know that was a movie.
they made Quadrophenia.
Who?
Dude, you always bust
sorry.
my head open
And
every
Who?
time.
Sorry, Mav. Who?
Who?
Yeah, the band.
Exactly.
No, Who? The Who? Who?
Who made Tommy?
No, the band. Who? The Who?
And exactly.
No.
Who?
No. Okay.
Wait, who?
The movie.
Okay. There's another
Who?
band called the Guess Who. There's a Guess Who, which is not the
The Who.
Who?
Who made the movie?
Wait, who?
The Who.
Who made the movie?
All right, don't get upset. I'm trying to break this down. Bands have different names, okay? There's the Who, and then there's the Guess Who, and then there's Three Dog Night. You know what I'm saying? And so,
Yeah.
right. And then so the band who made Tommy is called the Who. Who?
I have to guess.
No, the Guess Who's another. Guess Who's another. Guess Who?
So Three Dog Night made Tommy?
No. The guy shouldn't have brought up the Guess Who.
Who is Three Dog Night about?
Dude, I've been
No,
guessing
hold
who
on.
this whole time.
Three Dog Night is that's a band. They didn't make a movie. Tommy's also the name of a drummer with a big dick, but Tommy is the name of the name of the album, and the movie was made from the theme of the album, and it wasn't made by Three Dog Night or Guess Who. It's Who.
Why did they name themselves Who? Because they were trying to be clever.
Let's just guess. Let's just guess what the score would be for this movie.
All right.
Guess who?
Guess Who?
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. All right. It's a crazy movie. It's got Elton John in it. It's got a lot of. Oh yeah, Elton John does Pinball Wizard. Elton John had a hit with Pinball Wizard that was bigger than the Who's hit Pinball Wizard.
What song was that? Would I know this song?
You wouldn't know Pinball Wizard?
That's the song's name?
The Who, not the Guess Who. Play Elton John's Pinball Wizard version. This isn't it. I do not believe. Elton John covered Pinball Wizard and had a big hit with it in the 70s. And you don't know that song? Hi, and watch this movie. And as long as you're getting high and watching a 70s movie with a musical theme, watch Brian De Palma's Phantom of the Paradise, and you will freak the fuck out.
Styx did the soundtrack to that, right? Is that
Did
right?
they?
Rockin' the Paradise?
No. We don't need you for this one, Dawson. We need Kyle, the true artist.
Phantom of the Paradise?
It's a crazy. Styx wrote a Rock into Paradise, which was a Styx album and a Styx sounding thing. This is something completely different, deep and dark and fucked up and 70s coke fueled. Who knows? You can blame coke on a lot of this stuff, Mayhem. Where
Yeah,
you go
I
like,
see
what?
that, yeah.
What was going on? Paul Williams, yeah. You remember Paul Williams?
No. I
He was a
little guy.
educating me. You're constantly educating me on 70s stuff, but I wasn't there for this.
Little Enos from Smokey and the Bandit.
What? Yeah.
He was the little Paul Williams. You can find a picture of Paul Williams and like an 11-year-old Jodie Foster. They were the same person, except for Paul Williams is 52. Like he looked like Jodie Foster. He looked. You can find a picture of Paul Williams is a prolific songwriter and an actor. Did lots of different movies, played lots of different parts. Looked exactly like young Jodie Foster,
Small,
not
sexually unambiguous.
yeah, Jodie
Like-
Foster. When she
Oh, there you go.
she turned into. Well, it is true you have a picture of them together, which is kind of nuts. But you can find Jodie Foster at 11, not at 19 or whatever this is from.
This dude made Danny DeVito look like Manute Bol.
Yeah, he was a little man. And so watch Phantom of the Paradise because that is a crazy ass film, and
But the
people
other
miss
thing
it.
about Paul Williams, that said he got more booty than Captain Crunch.
Yeah.
He did. He wrote Evergreen, I think. He wrote songs for like Barbara Streisand and stuff. He had big hits, but also played Little Enos in Burt Reynolds movies, and then was also in Brian De Palma Phantom of the Paradise movie. Like he was all
storied
over
career.
the fucking road. Yeah, he's been on this show, I think. Phantom of the Paradise, 82 and 84 on Rotten Tomatoes. That's damn high. It'll give you bad dreams, but get high and watch that, and then watch Tommy. All right, so Rainbow Connection is Paul Williams. What is Rainbow Connection? Is that a
That's
kid's-
from the Muppet movie.
Oh, that's him. Okay, so he wrote everything.
Damn.
All right, 10-year-old Jodie Foster, 35-year-old Paul Williams. You will see the same person. Okay. This movie's weird. It's star-studded. It's The Who. It's real artistic, but it doesn't, it just got a lot of great scenes in it, but it doesn't track that well. It's not that linear. All The Who is acting in it. Keith Moon is playing like the pervert uncle, I think.
Yeah, once you said Elton John, though, like that's like wait, he's not in the movie? I'm like misunderstanding, I think. Because I'm trying to like think what the Academy or what like those type of people would want, like what the critics would really be into. And the Who I think they're into. Pinball I think they're against. It's like a very delicate balance.
All right.
So I'm going 68. I'm going 68 again. Last time I missed was 68. This time I'm going 68 just because I got to hit at least once.
If you hit it, you get a 5-point deduction. I wrote 60 down. I have no idea where this film is.
And then
Mavs
Mavs
64.
64.
All right.
Tommy is fresh at 71%.
All right. All right.
Okay.
We're in there.
I bet the people didn't have it higher in this case. I bet the audience score was lower than 71.
Damn.
Oh, wow.
Dead center.
71 and 71 with the audience as well. That is very rare that everyone agrees exactly on what this movie is. All right, get high and watch this movie, and then watch Phantom of the Paradise. Let's add it up. Dawson's doing the math.
Hey, if everybody
Back
could,
then.
this is my first time monitoring the Rotten Tomatoes
Oh,
game. If
so
everybody
correct,
could take
Joe.
me down their list of scores again, I could plug it into this Rotten Tomatoes calculator here.
Oh, you guys should have had this discussion.
This is not
man.
good.
I was
I'm trying
taking
to cheat.
I was taking chits to just
Stick
seeing
in,
everybody. But
I'll run you
Mayhem,
through the
go
movies
down-
again.
Mayhem, go down your 5.
I'm at 83, 61, 75, 68, and 68.
I had 88, 64, 69, and 73.
I'm not sure the order I wrote these in because I wrote them randomly. I think the first was 92 on Children of a Lesser God. I know 60 and
Followed
61
by
and
PCU.
63. PCU was probably 49, I guess, or maybe 61. What is my 49er? Oh, my 49 was See No Evil, Whatever No Evil, right? With like 28 or something. So PCU with the good news is I wrote 60, 61, and 63 or 60. I just wrote 60 on a few of these. PCU was 49, and then the rest were like, you can just write 61 because there were 60, 61. Yeah.
I just wanted to say a very scary movie is called Children of the Corn.
Yeah.
That freaked me out so much I couldn't eat corn on the cob for 2 years.
Really? Just because of that movie?
Yeah, there are all these crazy kid preachers and shit.
I didn't.
The guy's
see
name
that.
is Malachi.
I didn't see that movie, Mav. I don't know. Mayhem, you see Children of the Corn?
It's a lot of like really Mormon-looking kids coming out of the corn. Yeah, it was scary.
They had, they spun that off into Children of the Corn 2 and 3 and Return of Children of the Corn. I mean, they must have gotten some traction on that Children of the Corn because
IP.
they made 5 of them.
Heavy
Right.
IP.
I don't want to spoil it, but it is kind of like Bully Beatdown, where that preacher gets his fucking ass kicked in the end. And you're like, beat that kid, man. I hate that kid.
They cooked it up.
All right. We got it tabulated.
Yes, we do.
Let's do it.
I want to say congratulations to all three of you. You all made the podium. Everybody medals in this round. Def Frat Guy with a score of 98, taken third place by storm. Congratulations on the big 98, leaving the Ace Man and Mayhem and Adam Carolla. You have second.
Oh, what?
Seconds to ponder your win. Because you got
Mayhem.
57, Mayhem got
son of a
85.
gun.
The
hell
Ace Man
yeah.
takes the win.
Yeah. I'll take the win.
It's the Rotten Tomatoes game.
What they win.
How we do it.
All right. Thank you, Mayhem.
God bless you,
Thanks,
man.
Mav. Great playing
Hell
the
yeah.
games with you. And until next time, Adam for Mayhem and Def Frat Guy. Oh, there's Jody.
You were right. You're spot on, bud. That's the same person.
There's even, you can go younger on Jodie Foster and find, well, you know what? You got to find color. Here's the game on this game. You can't show a picture of the person when they have a beard or something that they don't normally have, and you can't go one color and one black and white. That screws it up a little bit. That's probably
Better.
And you got the bangs in this one
Yeah.
too. Come on now. Put those glasses on young Jodie Foster. All right. Color and color. Good. All right. We'll be right back with LAPD Gang Unit Officer Tim Pearce right after this. O'Reilly Auto Parts. They're in the business of keeping your car on the road. O'Reilly offers friendly, helpful service and the parts and knowledge you'll need for all your maintenance and repairs. I've always gone to O'Reilly. I used to live up in the hills in La Crescenta. I'd go to the one up on Foothill. Still there. They've got thousands of parts and accessories in stock, either in store or online, so you'll never have to worry if you're in a jam. The team at O'Reilly Auto Parts can test your battery for free in or out of your car, which is nice. You don't have to pull it. If it needs to be replaced, they'll help you find the right battery for your vehicle. Need your windshield wipers replaced, brake light fixed, quick service, they'll help you find the right part or point you to the nearest local repair shop for help as well. Whether you're a car aficionado or an auto novice, you'll find the team at O'Reilly knowledgeable, helpful, and best of all, friendly. So, the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts are your one-stop shop for all things auto, do-it-yourself, and you can find what you need in the store or online. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam. That's O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam. Morgan and Morgan, life can be crazy sometimes, and one person's negligence can result in another person's settlement. That's right. So if you ever get injured, check out Morgan and Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. Over 100 offices nationwide and more than 1,000 lawyers. So they got enough to cover you. More than $20 billion recovered for 500,000 plus clients. So it's a lot of money. It's a lot of clients. Morgan & Morgan has a proven track record of fighting to get you your full and fair compensation. Going on the road and doing stand-up every weekend, well, that can be hard, but submitting an injury claim with Morgan & Morgan, well, that's easy. Right, Dawson?
If you're ever injured, you can check out Morgan & Morgan. Their fee is free unless they win. For more information, go to forthepeople.com/Adam or dial pound law, pound 529 from your cell phone. That's forthepeople.com/Adam or pound law, pound 529 from your cell. This is a paid advertisement.
Tim Pearce is in studio. He's a retired LAPD gang unit. Office is where he worked 17 years experience?
Yep, 17 years in South Central Los Angeles.
Oh, sounds so depressing. I'm curious about gangs because I was talking to Dr. Drew earlier today. I'm driving down PCH. I see all these Winnebagos parked out there, all falling apart, covered crap, dust, and everything. And I'm going, people are living in these things. And he goes, gangs are involved with those things. And I'm like, are they selling them or renting them, or are they somehow involved with that?
That's I would imagine they have their hands in anything they can make money in.
They're like a drug cartel, right? They'll do drugs, they'll do human trafficking, they'll do fentanyl, they'll do whatever.
Yep. That when I left LAPD, I left in 2014, and this homeless thing wasn't the way it was, it is now, right? But the gangsters some of them would use them, for prostitution. Right?
Homeless.
Yeah. Oh no, the gangsters. They'd run prostitution out of them.
Well, out of the Winnebagos.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They'll just do anything.
Yeah.
And so your specialty was like unsolved gang murders?
So I ended my career in criminal gang homicide cold case. And so we would focus on gang crimes. And it was interesting. The station had this cargo container, and all our old cases, unsolved cases from that division would be in there. And we just walk through there and look at the names of the cases and remember, like, oh, wow, 10 years ago I was on that scene. I was one of the first responders. I didn't know that went unsolved because as a gang officer, you're responding, you're there, you're working it for maybe the first couple days, 3 days. They develop suspects or whatever. You're trying to snatch guys up and get information. And then another murder happens, and you're on that. So next thing you know, you're 5 murders down, and you don't know what happens to those cases. So we would go back and just pick them out and start working them again because sometimes the suspect in there, nobody in the neighborhood would talk because he's got a grip on the neighborhood.
Right.
But since then, maybe he's done another murder or he's in prison for life or 20 years or whatever, and now the neighborhood's a little more comfortable to talk. So we would just go out and start re-interviewing everybody, resubmit everything for all the evidence for DNA and such like that.
What percentage of those guys were just in prison in that 10 years anyway for something else?
Well, so like gangsters they're not all created the same, right? So you can have a gang, but not everybody's a shooter, right? So a lot of them are doing it's kind of like a football team. You have the quarterback out there, but you got your other guys that are doing other jobs. So you have guys that are really good at stealing cars, guys that are good at breaking into houses, and they're stealing the guns out of the houses to use for the gang. You have people running intel. You have the women who are involved, who are a lot of times involved in the identity theft game. They'll have a good gangster has many streams of income coming in, but they're not all shooters. So they're not all going to jail for that. But they may be a shooter on one day, but they're selling dope on another day.
And when you hear so where are we as a nation, but in LA, like with gangs? Like where was it the height? When were we at a height is it now? Are there more different gangs than there used to be? You know, you hear Crip and Blood, but now there's got to be all sorts of other gangs, international gangs, right?
Yeah, I mean, you see MS-13 and all that coming up. I was focused on Watts most of my career, and this Crenshaw District and Watts, so mostly black gangs. And like when I got to Southeast Division Watts in 2001, we were running 80, 90 murders a year in just like a 5 square mile area.
Wow.
And those numbers have dropped quite a bit. They're down in the 30s and I think low 40s now. But it was out of control, and it was even worse before that. So it's been coming down, but we're also, because of the attitude towards police these days, cops are just going hands off. That's been a trend for a long time, especially since the George Floyd and the rioting and all that, and then COVID. Everybody's just backed off, and there's very little proactive policing going on.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. I'm not in a gang, but I used to notice a lot more policing of the highways, a lot more pulling people over, and I would get pulled over, and they, you know, if you hopped in the diamond lane and you were alone in your car, you'd get popped pretty quick. And I just started kind of looking around since COVID, especially, and I was like, I'm not getting pulled over. I'm not slowed down. I'm not driving any safer. I'm still doing 85 and a 65. I'm not getting pulled over, and I'm not seeing people pulled over. Like they pulled back, or I don't know if it was a memorandum or they just emotionally. I mean, look, everyone, if you're kicking the shit out of firemen and blaming them for everything, then there's going to be a lot less firemen recruits showing up to the next class. I mean, that's a human behavior type of situation. If you're making cops the enemy and dumping buckets of water on their head and assaulting them, there's going to be less cops. And the ones that are around, you think they want to get out of their car and be filmed?
There's an old saying, if you want to headhunt your cops, you better get really comfortable with your criminals. Right? And so a department that is looking to the gotcha era, you know, looking to get every cop for every little thing, you know, they're going to pull. What they have done is they're pulled back. It's not worth it, right? You have a mortgage, you have kids, you have bills, all that kind of stuff. You're going to minimize the drama. A proactive cop goes out and makes stuff happen, tries to arrest you before you go stick a gun in someone's face and commit a robbery. I'm trying to get the pistol off you, so I'm using, you know, small minor infractions of the law to get up and make contact with you, and then get a pat down and figure out if you got the weapon or you run or whatever. I get the weapon. I get that before you stick that gun in somebody else's face. And that is, not all cops are the same, right? You could have guys that are good at traffic, good at patrol, good at SWAT, whatever, but there's a different kind of cops that are really proactive, pushing the envelope all the time. And that is, you have to be taught that, right? It's very, very uncomfortable to be that confrontational all the time, but that's how you get those felonies off the street. And that is going away completely. And, you know, even if like the governor and the chief and the mayor all got together and said, guys, the era of sorry about that.
All right, we got a little water knocked over, but that's fine. We'll have, my staff will mop it up for you.
The era of gotcha is over, then nobody would believe that, right? Because too many cops are getting their heads taken off. And so they're pulling back and just preserving what they can and minimizing the drama they're getting into. So I think it would take years for them to get comfortable again. And we've already had several years of pullback. So who's going to teach these cops how to be proactive in the future?
Yeah, look, people have a self-preservation gene. Like they want to keep their job, they want to keep their relationship, they want a status quo. And so it's a natural thing. We just got done with COVID. People thought a mask work, or they didn't think a mask worked. They didn't want to get yelled at, lose their job or whatever. So they all sort of got in line. That's people are pretty easy. And it's also path of least resistance. And if you're going to be asked to get out of your car and maybe the suspect is black and someone's filming you, you just stay in your car and you keep driving, you keep your job. That's everyone's default setting. So then you're going to get more crime and more of what you don't want. But they created it by doing this and treating people this way. the politicians with their defund and all their other
Yeah.
nonsense. A total insanity, but you're going to get more of what you don't want. And it's sometimes their heart's in the right place. They just don't realize there's downstream effects to whatever your bad policy is.
Agreed.
Today. So for you, you're going into South Central and Crenshaw on a daily basis. Are you driving a marked car?
Yeah.
And do you know? Eventually, people know who you are, right? I mean, you know who they are.
Oh yeah, that's your job.
Right.
As a gang cop, your job is to get to know these guys, know their tattoos, their baby mama, if they're on probation or parole, where they live, who they hang out with, what cars they drive, what their homeboys drive, and you're like a human intel resource.
Right.
So you get to know these guys. I mean, you can't go in there with the big stick and like I'm the boss.
Right.
The place will eat you alive.
Right.
Right. You see, there's a game to play of respect.
Right.
And some guys you're gonna butt heads with all the time, no doubt. But a lot of them, you end up to learn that they're a character or whatever, and they, a lot of them are really smart, and you get relationships with them. You'll never trust them,
Right.
You're going to make sure they're not armed before you stop, and then chop it up with them, and you find things out that way too, and you get this trust. So that pays off down the road.
Are they all? Is there a equation of math? They all sort of come from the same place, like fatherless homes, or dropouts from high school. Is it all just broken homes?
A lot of it is, yeah. In Southwest Division, you get a real mix of middle class, but there's been this long history of gang activity there, right? So you'll have mom and sister work for DMV and Water and Power, and brother is a straight hardcore Crip.
Really?
Yeah, and it's actually dangerous. More cops have been killed in Southwest Division than down in Watts, because Watts is kind of a little different, and because the violence has always been so high there, the officers treat the stops a little more aggressively, and because they have to. Where you're in Southwest Division, it's more middle class, and you're treating everybody like middle class, and you have to drop your guard a little bit. So, so we get bit more often there.
Right. Surprise. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I also, I guess we just had this whole Tyreek Hill thing. He got pulled over. And he got cuffed and thrown down. And I'm always just like, just comply. Everyone just complied. These guys are on edge. They don't know who everyone is. You got tinted windows. Just comply. It's the easiest thing in the world. I don't know why. It literally needs to be taught in schools. Keep your hands 10 and 2 on the wheel. Ask officer if you can go for your glove box. Just whatever it is you want, let's give it to you. And you can tell me, but the best chance you got at getting out of a ticket is just yes sir, no sir, right?
Absolutely. Every use of force I've ever been in, I would always at the end of it go, man, none of this would have happened if you would have just said, what do you need, sir?
Right.
And just followed instructions.
Right.
Like, if you want to make a complaint, you feel you're wrongfully stopped, that comes afterwards. Right? You can't do that ahead of time, because we're looking at, this guy, it's fight or flight, right? And is he buying time to make a move?
Right.
Or I have to look at it like, how is this guy going to kill me?
Right.
But I have to also downplay it as much as possible. But that's definitely on my mind. And the more they're arguing and refusing to follow instructions, the more I'm getting amped up and thinking, why is he doing this? What's he hiding?
Right.
And so it just, and I have to, I don't want to say win, but I have to have control. Otherwise, I'm just walking away completely defeated, and I'm not a law enforcement officer at that point.
Yeah, I agree. I always just tell everyone, don't think of them as cops. Think of them as guys with a gun.
Yeah.
And you don't have one. So how would you act?
Yeah, exactly.
If a guy had a gun, if a guy had a gun and I was just sitting at a bar stool watching a Steelers game and he told me to get up and step over 2 bar stools and I saw he had a gun, then I would just do it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't fight with him and I wouldn't wrestle with him and I wouldn't argue with him because he had a gun.
Yeah.
So I would just sort of listen, but it's also your best shot at getting out of a ticket by
100%.
being super compliant.
Yeah, the officer's pulled you over. He's got to make a decision. Is he going to give you a warning or is he going to give you a ticket?
Right.
And there's not much you can do about that, right? Other than be cooperative and nice. And it's like, I almost didn't get hired. Well, I did not get hired by a couple departments because I had too many tickets when I was trying to become a cop.
Oh, on your own record.
Yeah, sure.
That's funny.
So and when I get pulled over, I do the same thing. I roll my windows down, I throw the light on, I put my hands on the steering wheel, and I say, "Well, you need it, sir." Even now, I say, "Hey, I'm a retired officer. I have a weapon under the seat of my car, just so you're not alarmed." And I mean, that's the only option you really have.
I agree in that moment. Later on, lawyer up and, get in front of a judge or whatever, make a complaint. But in that moment, that's what you got. Yep. That's what I keep telling everyone. So now when you hear about, there's all this talk about like Aurora, California, and these gangs coming in and taking over apartment buildings and stuff like that. And Fox News says they're doing it, and CNN says they're not doing it, and then you see some footage where it looks like they're doing it, but then the mayor says they're not doing it, but I'm not sure if I trust the mayor, or I don't know who to believe. And then these are Nicaraguan. I'm trying to think of where they're from. But what are they doing? What are we talking about? How do you take over an apartment building if you're a gang? And was there any version of that was taking place out here when you were on the beat?
Yeah, we would have people move into the neighborhood. Look, if you're living in the neighborhood and you're not down with the gang in some way, shape, or form, or you don't have some kind of long history there, family history there, you're really not allowed to come out of the house, right?
Really?
Yeah. So a new person moving in, I've seen it, where they move in, sure enough, someone shows up on the doorstep, lifts the shirt, shows a pistol, says, "You have any problem on this block, you come talk to me. I run this block." Right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what are you going to do at that point?
Right.
And everybody, and so they have multiple, family and friends on those blocks because they've been there for a long time. So you don't know who's your ally.
Right.
Or one where they pulled up their moving truck and got 30 people descended on it, stripped it clean.
Right.
And the neighbors are like, well, just welcoming them to the neighborhood.
Right. So the guy who showed you the gun, who knocked on your door after you just moved into the neighborhood, is saying, "Pay me protection money, and you'll be okay here."
Don't call the police.
Oh, that's what they're saying.
Yeah. We're going to be out here selling dope, and you see whatever you see. I mean, this is what's inferred. You keep your mouth shut. Mm-hmm. I helped some homicide detectives arrest a 16-year-old for murder. And, I'm sitting in the back seat of the police car with them, guarding him while they're talking to grandma inside the house. Mm-hmm. And he's a hardcore PJ Crip. And
what's PJ?
Project Crip from Imperial Gardens, one of the housing projects in Watts. Mm-hmm. So I'm talking to him, and just like this, and I go, "Hey, man, if I was a young kid, moved in here, and I didn't want anything to do with the gangs, like nothing. I just want to go to school, do my own thing. I go, what's life going to be like for me?" He goes, "You ain't with us? You better stay in the fucking house."
Right.
Just like that, and just confirming what I already knew.
Right.
But everybody kind of knows that. So, if you're just a normal Joe and you're watering your lawn and the police are coming around the corner and you say, "Hey, one time," you give them a little heads up, right? Okay, you might be cool. You might be able to find your kids aren't going to have a problem. But if you call the police and they figure out that you called the police, your kids are going to get hammered on the way to school, on the way home. Your house is going to be targeted. Like, they absolutely control the block.
What are some of the? Have you seen? Give me a success story and a sad story out from that chapter.
Sad one, and could have been a success one, is we had a group of gangsters that we'd stop all the time, right? We had relationships with you guys. We knew them. They knew us really well. And there was one kid, he was a good-looking kid, and he was smart, and he was just in it. Sometimes they're in it just for the girls, right? As they get a little status. Mm-hmm. And we talked to this guy, I go, "Man, if you keep hanging out in this driveway, you're going to get smoked. Mm-hmm. Like, they're going to come get your cousins, but you're going to get dumped." Like, and so I go, we talked him into moving to his grandma's house out in Kansas. And
Kansas?
Yeah. and didn't see him for like a year.
A Crip or Blood.
He was a Crip. And all of a sudden, one summer we see him show back up, and hey, hadn't seen him in a long time, right? Pat him down real quick, but once I know he doesn't have a weapon on him, he's with 5 other gangsters that I know, family, right? Start talking to him. How you been?
How old is he at this point?
17. How's things been? I moved out there. Everything's chill. Blah blah blah. Life's better. I just came back to see family. 2 nights later, smoked in the same driveway.
Really?
Yeah.
Just drive by?
Drive by.
And they weren't targeting him.
No, they're targeting all the guys that hang out there.
Right.
They just lit him up, and he took a bullet, and he died.
Wow.
And I was just like, God, man, it's just, and that's kind of the only way to get out of it is to get out of the neighborhood, get away from those influences.
Right.
And and that's actually one of the things I loved about police work is it is complicated, and there's so much food for thought. Social food for thought, and social thought, and so it's always interesting. It's hard. It's super hard work, right? It's all the drama.
Listen, I used to be a carpenter and construction and earthquake rehab and stuff. Like I don't mind hard work, but that would be too emotionally taxing for me. Yeah. I don't think I could handle it. I really don't. And I don't even have nerve endings half the time. I just feel like I would get so depressed, like seeing that. Like I get depressed. One of my problems with Los Angeles is there's like so much garbage and graffiti everywhere. I actually get bummed out. Like I drove the other night from Orange County back to LA, and everyone knows that experience. Like Orange County, the freeways are wide, they're clean, they're landscaped, they look nice, and all of a sudden you come pulling in, and you see graffiti and garbage and old baby strollers and stuff. And I start getting depressed from inside of my car just because it's like aesthetically, that's where I'm living. And I think about it, like I'm out in Malibu, and there's like the Malibu Fire Department right on PCH. I'm like, you guys, man, you got it made.
Yeah.
And
smart ones.
And then there's the one in Watts in South Central. Like I would just get depressed, and it's got to be tough. I don't know where you live, Simi Valley, a lot of cops in Torrance. Going into that neighborhood just with the decay, you know what I mean? Just visually.
I used to, I was pretty vocal about what was going on there because where I live in Torrance, 2 Watts is 8 miles at most.
Right.
And 2 completely different worlds.
That's the other thing that's mind-numbing is you could literally be talking about 2-3 miles as the crow flies from sort of suburbia utopia to just insanity.
When you were talking about traffic earlier, I've noticed the exact same thing. It's like there's no traffic enforcement now, right?
No.
And which in some ways I think is a good thing.
Yeah, I'm happy about it.
Yeah. And traffic as a cop, like I hated writing tickets. But
did you have to?
There's no quota. No. And being a gang officer, no.
Oh, being a gang. But here's what I want to say, or my thought. I noticed this in Burbank especially, because did they write some tickets in Burbank? But I was like, there is no quota, but if you go a month without writing a ticket, someone's going to say something, right?
Exactly. Like when you come into at your end of watch and you're going to turn in your log, which, lays out everything you did for the day, you better turn it in with an arrest report or what we call FI cards, or you better have some tickets there. You have to show some kind of production.
Yeah, you weren't just around for an 8-hour shift.
Yeah, and the motor cops, that's their job is traffic, right?
Right.
On the motorcycles. It's not expected of us in gangs because we're pushing a different agenda there. And but I went on a little ride along down in Southeast with an old partner of mine and a guy who was down there doing some philanthropy. And so we stop at like 92nd and Figueroa at a little taco cart, and we're going to get some tacos. It's like 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night. And I hear this rumbling, and coming down Figueroa is like 20, 25 dirt bikes, go-karts, quads,
Yeah.
right? In and out of traffic, on the
Sure.
wrong side of the road, just like Mad Max.
Right.
And that is extreme. I've seen it multiple times down there over the last couple of years.
Yes.
And then what I'm noticing is every single intersection has all the burnout marks from where they do the intersection takeovers.
I'm glad you brought that up because it was on my list of
Yeah.
things to talk to you about, which is I started noticing, I noticed it first when I went to Chicago and I was just sitting at a beautiful restaurant on like Shoreline Drive and I can't remember Shoreline, or the main drag in the nice part of Chicago with the Peter Luger Steakhouse, sitting outdoors, and all of a sudden the quads and the dirt bikes and off-road stuff.
Yeah.
And they started rolling through town. And so I took it not as, oh, there's dirt bikes on the street and this is loud. I took it as symbolically they have lost control of their city, because that's what this is. It means symbolically you've lost control of your city. The street takeover, people go, oh, it's dangerous or it's bad for the environment or makes a lot of noise. What it means is we no longer have dominion over the city we run and live in. And the cops can just sit back and watch as these guys do donuts if they show up at all. I noticed it. So when there's street takeovers, that is a sign that your city has lost it.
Yep.
LA has street takeovers. I was in San Francisco about a year ago. This is like 2 or 3 years after I was in Chicago, and there was an entire mini bike gang that just made the whole run. And I was like, oh, San Francisco, you guys lost. You lost. You gave up.
Yeah.
You lost your city. Even in Malibu, I see 75 mini bikes doing the PCH run right down the middle. Now, that would have been unthinkable when I was a kid. I had a mini bike. You had to like push it across. You would push it across main streets and then look around and then hop on it on the side streets and then push it across again in case a cop drove by. We've now lost it. And the dirt bikes, there's a movie, there's a doc called 12 O'Clock Boys, which is young inner city kids on dirt bikes just doing wheelies and stuff. It started in Baltimore. So Baltimore had the first just complete breakdown of this. But now we're in LA and San Francisco and Chicago as well. And it's a eerie harbinger. It means you're on your own. Like the cops have lost control.
Yeah. Yeah, they're pulling back. You know, it's just not worth the drama. And you know, you don't want to get complaints from the public because those stack up in your file and they work against you. And everybody knows that.
So these guys were just quads and dirt bikes and everything just rumbling down the whatever.
And then the prostitution is out of control on Figueroa.
Oh, it is.
They made it not illegal to loiter for the intent of prostitution. So they kind of handcuffed the vice officers, and it's just wild. I mean, YouTube prostitution on Figueroa right now, 2024 or 2023, it is insane. And there's a lot of human trafficking involved in that, right? These girls, some are out there by choice, all the pimps are on the side streets.
Yeah, well, it's another one of those Gavin Newsom things where like, we're going to decriminalize the blah, blah, blah because it disproportionately affects black and brown. And next thing you know, it's just prostitution everywhere and human trafficking. Everything you don't want, you just got it because of your stupid legislation.
That one night that I'm at that taco stand and here comes Mad Max down the middle of Figueroa, and I can, within eyesight, I can see 30 prostitutes hanging out, and everybody that lives on those are houses. People have to walk their kids to school, and they got to go through the middle of that. They're even opening up stores on Figueroa that cater only to the prostitutes. You know, tiny little bikinis and net tops. That's all they sell.
Oh, you mean they're apparel for prostitutes?
Yeah.
I
It's
know.
insane.
It is. It's also like, look, could we think about a course correction here, people?
Yeah.
Like maybe there's another direction we'd like to go.
Yeah, I mean, I was just like, God, exactly what you said. I'm standing there, and my old partner, he looked at me, he goes, "You're in disbelief, huh?" I go, "Yeah, this is out of control."
Yeah, it literally is. You have lost control of your city, and all they are is emblematic of your loss of control. All you can do is sit back and watch as this thing takes place. And I don't know, how does a cop bust 75 guys on dirt bikes who can, by the way, hop up on the sidewalk?
Yeah.
Now, in Baltimore, in this doc, that 12 o'clock boys, what year was that? I got to look it up. Now, of course, what happens in Baltimore is not only do the guys ride the wheelies around down the street, when the cops show up, they ride wheelies around the cop car and kick the side of the door in while they're doing it. And one time, a cop chased one of these kids, and the kid hopped up on the sidewalk on his dirt bike and got killed. And then they blame the cops.
Yeah.
And then the neighborhood burns because the cop shouldn't have chased him. How's this ever going to work out here, people?
We've chased people with guns, and we've had supervisors that say, "What'd you do to make him run?"
Right.
He's a criminal. He's got a gun.
Right.
It was his choice.
Right.
I just followed, right, to catch him. But, looking at we're the problem.
12 o'clock boys, by the way, 2013. So the point is this shit's been going on in Baltimore for over a decade, but San Francisco and LA and Chicago is turning into Baltimore, and this is one of those things. It's not kooky science either. It's like, the rehab guys will go, the addiction medicine guy goes, well, people, they start smoking weed in high school, and then they start drinking, and then they step into pills, and the next thing you know, they start getting to heroin, and they smoke heroin, then they start injecting heroin. Yes, it's a progression. It's how cities decay and decline.
Yeah, it's those small things, like the broken windows, theory. You got to take care of the small things, otherwise it's just going to get, the big things will just grow and grow and grow.
Yeah, but it seems like LA doesn't have political will for that, the city council and whomever. They're not, I had the craziest conversation with the guy who runs the Staples Center on a boat about 6 years ago. He's a funny gentleman he just is in charge of the Staples Center, or what was now crypto, whatever. I've told the story a few times, but it was a weird one. I said to him, I went and saw a basketball game with my son, at the Staples Center, and then we walked out, and I tripped over a guy who was selling hot dogs in a shopping cart with a propane tank. And by the way, there were 75 of them, and they're all on your property. They're not on the street. They're on the Staples Center, the mezzanine or whatever. They're against the exit door. They're on your property. He goes, yeah, hate it. Hate it. Pulls a picture out, shows me one of the propane shopping carts with a giant cockroach roasting next to the hot dog. He goes, I hate it. I wish we could. I said, do something then. Get rid of these people. They're on your property. You're selling concessions. You're selling hot dogs. There's a place across the way paying premium rent and insurance and unemployment and everything, and they're trying to sell tacos in a legitimate way. These guys are, he goes, I hate it. Because you run the Staples Center, go tell the city council to clean this up. He goes, I don't want to get into trouble. I said, I'll get into trouble. I said, well, what are you talking about? I said, I can't. If I go bring this up to them, they'll get pissed off at me, and they'll start coming down on me, and I don't want to risk it.
What kind of power do they have over him?
Oh, they'll tell him that, I don't know, maybe his liquor license ran out, or maybe the concert that could take place until midnight. Now there's a noise ordinance. We're going to cut you off at 9:30. Like, whatever it is,
true.
They're going to make it tough, or they can make it tough, and he didn't want to risk it. Which means the people selling the hot dogs are in charge, not him. And the guy who runs the Staples Center is not really in charge. The city council's in charge, and he doesn't want to piss them off. So I don't feel like we have the political will to get rid of a lot of this stuff.
No, it certainly doesn't seem that way. I don't. They're going to have to do something with the Olympics coming up.
Yeah,
they're going to have to get control of the city. They're going to have to clean the city up. So there's going to have to be a major shift in how they look at policing. They're going to have to back these officers up, because the officers want to do the work, but they don't want to get hammered if they get a complaint or they get called into question.
Right.
Look, you have to have a discipline system. You have to have a complaint system, but it doesn't have to be draconian. Officers need gray area to work, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't think they feel that there's any. I think if they feel that if they make any kind of mistake, they're gonna get hung.
Also, a lot of guys are probably just getting recruited and going somewhere else, right?
Oh, for sure.
City, it's more hospitable.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know some of those stories?
Yeah, I mean, that comes and goes. When Chief Parks was in, we had everybody under 20 years, because that's actually when that complaint system started. Mm-hmm. If you were my sergeant before and I stopped a guy here and then he's claiming that I used force on him, and we didn't, but they want to put blame on anybody but themselves.
Right.
You would come out, interview him, go, you don't have a single mark on you. You said that he hit you in the head with a flashlight, and you don't have any marks. Neighbor says, they still had, Parks made it so they still had to make a complaint, take a complaint, regardless of the facts.
Right.
And so that really started squashing proactive policing. It's just gotten worse since then. Bratton came in, cleaned it up, improved it, and but I think it's back to the way it was.
Yeah. And for you, high-speed pursuits, shot at, shot back, any good action stories?
Well, what's crazy is I was a construction worker before I became a cop, and I don't even like conflict at all. I like to get along. I'm like a Labrador. I like to get along with people, right? So,
yeah.
And but I needed a job, and I needed benefits and everything. And I looked at policing, and I could start with a decent wage, insurance, all that kind of stuff, and it's respectable, and I don't need a college degree. Mm-hmm. So I got into it, but I got into it and I said, you know what? I'm scared of doing this, to tell you the truth. Put me in the worst possible place you can, and then let me survive that, and then everything else will be easier for the rest of my career. Mm-hmm. So I asked to go to the South End, but when I got there, the South End meaning South Central, when I got there, I realized gangsters are the cancer of the city here. Mm-hmm. They're ruining it for everybody, right? They make it so uncomfortable, that you don't know who's going to stick a gun in your face or whatever. And so I thought, let me just focus on that. And that felt like time well spent as an officer. Mm-hmm. And then I just got good at it. But I mean, I've been, times where, I've seen my badge shaking on my chest.
Mm-hmm. Right? Your heart's thumping.
Yeah. And you have to get acclimated to that. I never in my life thought I would even be a cop or then to be a gang cop. Right? Mm-hmm. And then to be a gang cop in the worst place you can possibly be. But you acclimate to it, and it turned out to be a wonderful career. You asked for a story, how this job, some of the things that can bite you. I ended up marrying a police officer. She was actually my classmate, Christina Rapati. And we got put on patrol together, partners, and then we went to the crash unit together, the gang unit, and then we both got really good at that. Mm-hmm. And when we had 10 years on, we got married, and our daughter was about 16, 17 months old. She was working up there off Martin Luther King and Denker, Martin Luther King and LaSalle, just west of USC. Mm-hmm. She's doing crime suppression. She sees a guy. She's driving down, heading to the station, and it's 10 o'clock at night. Actually, that morning, we had run a relay race with my gang unit for a fundraiser for fallen officers' families. Mm-hmm. 10 a.m., 10 p.m., she's on patrol going down Denker towards Martin Luther King, sees a guy looking shady, like he's dumping something behind a car. Her and her partner key in on it. Hey, let's grab him real quick. What they don't know is he has just robbed a liquor store on the corner across the street from the station.
Across the street from the station.
Yeah. The victims literally ran across the intersection, catty corner, to the front desk and are putting it out, or telling the desk officer, hey, we just got robbed. He just ran up Denker. Well, Christina is coming southbound, sees the guy, doesn't know any of this. Gets out of the car, hey, let me talk to you. Boom, he runs, right? Mm-hmm. It was actually her third for pursuit of the night. She chases him, doesn't see a gun in his hands, right? The hands was what kill you, right? So chases him, cuts around a lawn, runs up to a fourplex, tries to get into someone's house. These guys will run in anybody's house. Mm-hmm. And it gets super complicated at that point. As he's trying to get in, she catches him, grabs him by the shoulders, and he turns and spins and stuffs a pistol up under her armpit and shoots her above the vest.
Wow.
And that breaks through those ribs. That artery hits her in the T2 vertebrae, cuts her spinal cord, and she drops paralyzed. Drops and hits the deck. He stands over and he shoots at her 3 more times, trying to execute her.
Wow.
Her partner, who was driver, was a few steps behind, stops on the grass, and as this guy is trying to do the coup de grace on Christina, her partner's shooting at him and hits him in the shoulder, spins him around, and a bullet goes through one goes through his shoulder, spins him around, one goes through his back, goes through his aorta. He ends up dropping dead next to Christina. And luckily, our SWAT officers were in the neighborhood doing crime suppression, and they had just been trained as medics. They graduated like 2 days earlier. They got to her first. So, and Joe, her partner, was sticking his finger up inside the bullet hole, pressing on the artery that was pumping blood out.
Wow.
I'm in Watts, down in Jordan Downs Housing Project, and I hear the help call. My partner, Scotty Stevens, I go racing up there. We're going to an officer down help call. Right?
They don't say the name of the officer.
No. And our schedules were so screwy that as we're flying down Century Boulevard, jumping on the 110, and we're going to get off at Coliseum. And my partner turns to me, he goes, Christina working tonight? And I had forgotten that she was. I go, yeah, she is. And he goes, you think she's in this? And I go, Leighton LaSalle was the corner where she got shot. And I go, well, it's her hood, Rolling 30's hood, so she's probably in the mix. And not thinking she's the one shot.
Right.
And then my phone rings in my pocket, and it's her sergeant, who's a friend of ours.
Uh-huh.
And I go, oh, here it goes.
Right.
And he goes, Tim, where are you at? I go, I'm getting off at Coliseum right now. I'll be right there. He goes, it's Christina. I go, yeah, I know. I'll be right there. We get there. And I actually get there when the paramedics are putting their boxes down. They had just gotten there, kneeled down, assessing her. The SWAT guys had her bagged and doing CPR on her. And there was that thick purple syrupy arterial blood coming out from under her back, down 4 steps, and a big puddle of it out on the walkway.
Wow.
And I ran up, and I remember grabbing the paramedic's shoulders and separating them and looking at her. And she was sheet white, no blue in her eyes, completely locked and fixed. And I saw all that blood, and I was like, oh, there's no way she's going to make this. Right? That guy had like a 76-page rap sheet.
Really?
Yeah. Had been in and out of prison his entire life, and never completed his parole. Never had gotten off parole. He'd always violated. Lots of gun charges. He had a murder charge back in the day, and but mostly robberies.
Mm-hmm.
He even robbed a church.
Wow.
And tried to take, the basket they pass around.
Right.
Was in there trying to take that at gunpoint. The patrons all got on top of him. He was trying to shoot somebody on top of him, and they were holding the gun.
Jesus
That
Christ.
type of a guy. Even the family said there was zero redeemable qualities about this guy. But Christina didn't know any of that. And she didn't know she's just doing what she's supposed to do.
Right.
And all those cops are facing that same threat all the time.
So did Christina pass?
No, she's paralyzed from the nipple line down. She's in a manual wheelchair. She actually ended up with went undiagnosed was a brain injury due to blood loss, massive blood loss.
Oh.
So they know when you have massive blood loss, your brain sheds blood. Your amygdala and your frontal cortex get injured first. Mm-hmm. So your executive decisions and your amygdala is your fight and flight, right?
Right.
And so she struggles with, she was an extreme athlete, an amazing police officer, like cut above, male, female, anything. She was top-notch police officer, well known in LAPD. And so now she's, in a manual wheelchair. We actually had a little boy 2 years after she was injured, and that was 2006, so that she was shot. But that's the kind, and I bring that up because that is the kind of risk that we take. If you're dead, it's over. Mm-hmm. But she's got this lingering, she got to live like that, paralyzed from the nipple line down. Ultimately, she went back to school at USC. Swim with Mike Foundation got her a scholarship and she got her master's in sociology and is now doing therapy with people, a lot of PTSD therapy, and it's made a really big impact on her life to be able to help other people.
Yeah, well, she sounds pretty remarkable.
She's incredible. She's the strongest woman I've ever met.
And still married?
No.
Not married?
Yeah, we were married for 7 years after that, and the brain injury and things, it caused a lot of problems, and it's a terrible story, but we ended up getting divorced, and now we're friends and everything. We still do family dinners and stuff like that. It's all good, but she has a hard time. She can only control so much in her world. She's got to keep her world pretty small, and I think there was a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure on her being a mom, being a husband or a wife, and I think she just realized, like, hey, I just need to take care of myself.
Yeah.
Totally understandable. None of it her fault. She's got she's had a brutal road.
Yeah. Jesus. Well, sorry I had to get into that, but
Well, I mean, that's
informative, that's for sure.
that led me to what the good thing that's, some good things have come out of that. One is police training has really been, it's really gone, a lot of departments have gone to like PowerPoint training. And you brought it up earlier about learning to override your self-preservation instinct. Cops need that because if you have active shooters and situations like that, you have to have cops that will run into that and handle it, right?
Yeah, I mean, we had heard of the school shootings where the cops outside for an hour and a half. Can't have that.
Yeah, and PowerPoint training doesn't get you to that. It doesn't teach you to override that self-preservation instinct.
Well, you did invent a product, and I don't know what it is, but I think we're gonna try it out. It's a tactical training invention. You see more and more products that are sort of non-lethal this and training that for shooting and other things. It's called AU Fire, accuracy under fire. But what was the impetus of it for you?
So in Christina's physical therapy, we were all over the country doing physical therapy, and we did a lot of electrical muscle stimulation. Where they put the sticky electrodes on your skin and it contracts your muscles. So someone had given me a take-home unit to, work on Christina and fight off muscle atrophy. Right, that was the goal. And so it's just one you could buy off Amazon, basically. So I put the electrodes on my bicep, and I didn't read the instructions. I'm just flicking dials, right? And all of a sudden it kicks on, but it kicks on like full blast. And it completely contracts my bicep and held me there for like a 5-second ramp cycle, and then it let me go.
Right.
And I started thinking about it. I thought back to the academy. Remember, I was a construction worker, didn't know anything about policing. And back in '96 in the academy, I remember our SWAT officers going, you guys have got to practice with your offhand because you might be in a pursuit, car crash, and their gun hand is completely crushed and the gunfight starts there, right? So you've got to be able to manipulate your weapon. And I remember them saying, yeah, we'll handcuff our hand behind our back. And I'm sitting there as a construction worker trying to become a cop going, LAPD SWAT handcuffs their hand behind their back to simulate that they've been shot. That seems archaic.
Right.
But what do I know?
Right.
Fast forward 10, 12 years, Christina's injured, we're doing this. I light myself up, and I'm thinking, okay, something like this was immediate. It was totally disabling, totally distracting, totally out of my control. If I could make this remote control, I could wire a guy up, send him into a force-on-force scenario, and then when the shooting starts, I could hit a button, completely take his arm out.
Right.
Now he's forced to fight back accurately and effectively under duress. So I'm thinking something had to have changed by now. So I call the SWAT guys. Now I got friends in there. And I go, hey, how do you guys simulate you've been hit? Oh, we got this glove. We tape our hand shut, blah, blah, blah. It is still that way today. There's like zero reality in it. It's like adult pretend. It would be if you and I were doing search warrant training, the sergeant would come in and go, hey, Adam, when the shot's fired, you go down.
Right.
Right. And then we all go into the house, and then somebody cracks off some blanks or whatever, and you go, oh, I'm hit, I'm down.
Right.
And you crumble, and there's a protocol.
Right.
I've always thought it was so ridiculous. Right?
Yeah.
For the most critical moment of your life and the most critical moment of your career, and we're doing
Right.
adult pretend.
Right.
And then now we're expecting officers to go in and go head up with guys with rifles on active shooter situations.
Right.
And they have no experience of fighting back injured.
Right.
Zero.
Right.
Like we train weapons manipulation, tactics, communication, accuracy, everything leading up to the shooting.
Right.
And then we go to TAC Med, and that's put a tourniquet on.
Right.
But you're only putting a tourniquet on because you've been shot.
Right.
So where was the gunfight?
Right.
Injured.
Right.
You're assuming they won.
Right.
And there's nothing there. So the day you're out on patrol, there's only two kinds of shooters. The kind that shoot at you and run or bed down, or the kind that shoot at you and stay in it to kill you. Mm-hmm. Right? And the day that happens, you're out on the street and the guy starts shooting at you, ambush, whatever, and you're hit and he's staying in it. Like, you have to stop that immediately.
Right.
So you've got to be able to shoot back accurately and effectively to stop that threat, or you're dead.
Right.
And at that moment, when you're hit, you're going to realize from the chief down to you, you have nothing but hope and a prayer because no one trained you how to do that. Mm-hmm. You're hoping that you have some inner Rambo come up while you're bleeding out, and you're going to be able to fight back.
Right.
It's just there's no training for it.
So this piece of equipment, we had Jason Mayhem Miller don it because he's quite familiar with bodily pain. All those years in the fighting MMA and the UFC. So he puts this product on, and I think he's here somewhere.
There
Got
he
the
is.
arm, right? And the product's on his right arm.
Let's see. Yeah, so he's wearing number 6. So say he was an officer, and I've got the control right here.
Right.
So I turn it on, and I dial over to him, to his number, right? So he's going in the house.
Get on the ground, Carolla. We know you're in there.
And so if I hit him in the arm, can you do anything with that? As long as I hold that button down, he's
Right.
completely contracted.
All right, how much pain is involved?
Son of a...
So you just, he's going to knock the TV set off.
Sorry, guys.
What'd that do to your arm, Mayhem?
I'm going to give that like a 6. Hit me again. I don't care.
So it's only 66 volts.
Oh, man.
And
That
it
was
just
going-
seizes up.
I call this one gang signs.
Oh, it makes your
Wu-Tang.
finger.
Wu-Tang.
I'm hitting him on
I
the
definitely dumped the magazine right now.
I'm hitting him on the inside of the forearm.
So you have the sleeve. We put it on your right arm if you're right-handed and your left arm if you're left-handed, I would imagine, or not?
No, you put it on both arms. They don't know when and where it's coming from.
See, both arms. So we don't know where. And while this thing is going, which obviously if you get shot in the tricep, that's what it's basically going to feel like, then you got to get your weapon and get it to the other hand and be sort of ambidextrous about it.
Yep.
And they don't have this device.
Doesn't exist.
So for you try to market this to police academies, right?
Yeah.
And SWAT and beyond.
Yeah, police departments and military academies.
Military.
Hold on, there's
SWAT.
one more. I call that one Spider-Man. That's the outer
gets the
forearm.
web shooter out. Wow.
Yeah. So,
All right,
Great
Mayhem.
advice.
Thank you
Great
for being
advice.
Good job, bud.
Good job, man. Oh, my
being a
God.
good sport.
Get me out of here.
Jesus.
but you can see they're just they're conductive electrodes on the inside.
Yeah, I tried out with the Hawthorne SWAT team once as a bit, and I had them put the taser on me, and now they didn't fire the barbs into my skin. They put the barbs on each foot,
Yeah.
I think, and taped them down, and gave me the shot.
Yeah.
So I get it.
That's 50,000 volts.
That 50,000 volts?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have me doing that. They did not turn it down or modify it or anything. They
No.
just said, look, we're not going to fire it into your neck. We'll put it on your shoes.
Yeah.
but you try to walk toward us, and we'll fire this thing off.
This is an M26 air taser. It's one of our less than lethal options. It's an electrical stun gun. Shoots out 50,000 volts at 26 watts of electricity.
Right. This is what we shoot the guys that are hopped up on PCP with?
Exactly.
All right.
What's going to happen now is I'm going to turn this on, and I'm going to give you probably a 1 to 2 second volt of electricity. Adam, what I'd like you to do is focus and try to take a step towards me.
All right.
That part hurt.
That sucked. Well, being a criminal sucks.
I did. There is a part of this where I fire every single gun in their arsenal.
Top of the world, Bob! Top of the world!
Nice.
I think I got him that time.
You think so?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I literally just
One I
shot
got on
this.
her shoulder would have probably
The hostage.
gone, cleared her shoulder and probably caught him, in his shoulder.
Yeah.
That's my plan.
Okay.
I don't want him to think I'm shooting at the perp. My plan is I'm shooting at the hostage, but the bullet's passing through.
Yeah, well, you get what I was doing over there.
Yeah.
I had a good time firing everything down in that range. The only thing that really got me was the shotgun with the slug in it, the big ball bearing.
Yeah.
That thing had a kick, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it does a lot of damage.
Yeah, it does,
yeah.
especially to a watermelon.
Yeah, so much-
that's just good television.
Yeah.
Well, let me get a plug out for you, Tim. Where can people go? aufire.com.
Yep. It stands for accuracy under fire.
And if you're, if you're military or police or even just, I don't know, hardcore dude who wants all the tactical advantages.
It's stress inoculation training, right? A stress inoculated officer makes better decisions under stress.
Yes.
Right? More measured decisions. And, when this stuff happens to them in the field, they should, that should not be the first time. They should have done it in a safe training environment.
Hey, listen, they have simulators for airplane pilots and race car drivers.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. A pilot learns how to take off, and he learns how to handle problems in the air, and he learns how to land, right? Right now, in this scenario, our cops are able to take off and they're able to land. But if something goes sideways, where they get hit, they get shot, they have no training.
Right.
And they've got to finish that.
aufire.com. Tim Pearce, thank you so much.
I appreciate it so much. Thank you.
Good to meet you.
Good to meet
Thanks
you
for
too.
your service.